I want to talk with you this morning about laying a foundation on your dog. Welcome to Kaleidoscope Toy and Miniature Australian Shepherds. This is Nikita. She's 3 years old, and she is a miniature Australian Shepherd, and I've had her since the day she was born, and I've trained her since the day she was born. So there is an advantage that earlier you can start with the dog, the better off you are, but you can train an older dog that has a lot of bad habits. It's just going to take a little bit longer. Unfortunately, all of my dogs are trained, so I can't really show you bad habits. But this is really what you're looking for. You're looking for a dog, and you can do this in your home. You can do it on your deck or whatever. When you're teaching your dog to go for a walk, most of it is going to be standing still. Seems counterintuitive, but you can't teach them anything when they're in motion dragging you down the sidewalk. So all I want this dog to do is when I move, I want her to move. She's on a loose leash. This is sort of the end product. When I move, she moves. When I stop, she stops. And she gives me an automatic sit. Looks very simple. It's going to take you a long time to lay this foundation. If you're retraining a dog that was treat trained, I call it the treat trainer crawl, when the treat trainer's going around, got the treat in front of their nose. Okay, come on, you're going to heel now. Oh, yeah, you're going to heel now. Okay, that's the treat trainer crawl. Dogs don't learn anything doing that. This dog was never trained with a treat. When you're doing the treat trainer crawl, when you have a treat in front of your dog's nose, that's all it's thinking about. So I could never take a test if there was a peanut butter cup on my desk, and these dogs can't learn anything when all they can think about is getting that food away from you. So I train completely without treats as much as possible. But if you're laying a foundation, really basically what you're doing is you're teaching the dog a default behavior, meaning when you're with me and you're on the leash, we do one of two things. We're either in motion because I initiated the motion, or we're still, in which case you automatically sit. Just like that. If you are starting over with a dog that has been pulling and barking and scanning and all of this stuff, okay, you go in the house and you're very quiet, okay? This is so easy that people make it really hard because everyone's been programmed to treat and okay, let's go with excitement and yes, good dog. Okay, when you train with excitement, all you get is an excited dog that's not trained, especially if you're using treats. Dogs never train. So I come in with a really calm energy. This is what we're doing today. I've got you on the leash. We're going to walk 2 or 3 steps and we're going to stop. Now, if your dog is pulling and jumping and all of this, just stand there and maybe just take a step back. Just like that, give it a slight tug. Now, I have her on a slip lead. This is how I train dogs, is on a slip lead. Okay? This is a slip lead. On an adult dog that's healthy, I'm going to just put it around her neck. If it's a puppy or a frail dog or a tiny dog, come here, Nikita. If it's a frail dog or a tiny dog, I'm going to put it over the neck and behind the front leg so that it can't accidentally get choked. If you're the type of person that pulls on the leash a lot, then you can go with this method. This is called a slip lead harness. You can go with this method from the start until you get better with your hands. But this is the only tool, go ahead, Nikita, that I'm going to use to train my dog. I'm not going to use treats. I'm not going to use any of the other tools that are out there. When you're in your house training your dog, you should be able to control your dog perfectly with a slip lead. So the foundation that you want to lay is that the dog understands, unlike Storm over there, that you are to be still when I'm still. You are to move when I move. Now this is, I understand, it's very hard for people to wrap their mind around the fact that dog training can be so easy, because you've been taught you have to have all of these commands, and you have to, you know, have your treat bag and your treat pouch and your gentle leader and your prong collar and your shock collar and your this, that, this, yeah, and the other, depending on what kind of trainer you're following, what kind of trainer you're doing. But if you want to make it really simple and reprogram your adult dog with lots of bad habits, or starting a new puppy, this is the way I do it. If I've got a little puppy, now I don't expect a little puppy to sit here like this, but I'm going to give it the idea that if it sits in front of me, I'm going to just praise it and reward it. And I train all of my puppies on the table. Nikita was trained on the table as a little puppy. If you go way back in my videos, I've got lots of table training. Now, if you have a little puppy, small breed puppy especially, I start them on the table. I started both of my border collies, the red border collies, on the table, and they came out really good. In fact, they came out too good, because they don't want to herd. They just want to do obedience. Anyway, so, you know, start your little puppy, or even if you have an adult little dog, Chihuahua, a tiny Pomeranian, you can start training them on the table. But this is the foundation that I'm looking for. Now, see, what this dog is doing is she is doing her job. Her job is to sit there until I get up and move. If I move, she moves. You know, if I turn, she turns. If I stop, she stops. And she does an automatic sit. Without this foundation on your dog or your puppy, you have no business going for a walk. You have no business going off of your property, no business going out of your house. Because every single time you do, you set your dog up for failure. You set the dog up to fail. So just try to do it. Try to lay off all of the chit chat. Okay, if it was just Nikita and I, here's how it would go down. Good girl. Good sit. Yeah, good. Good girl. Nice sit. Yeah, it's a good girl. Notice I didn't say a word except for I just praised her for doing the right thing. That was it. I just praised her for doing the right thing. Because the leash is talking to her. A tiny tug tells her to get up and move. If she was not sitting, I would just sit here and hold the leash straight up until she did sit. Or I might just wait for the sit. People can't believe that this works. They can't believe it. But I have 8 dogs out there that are testament to the fact that this works. I have 3 working border collies. I have border collies that run loose in huge corporate parking lots. Come back to me when I call them. That's their job, chasing Canada geese off properties. So I know that it works. You saw the Bernie videos. It works. This is how I trained Bernie. I had Bernie from birth to 16 weeks. When he went home, he was like he was a 10-year-old trained dog. Because I made it really, really simple for him to understand. Once they understand what you want, then they can give it to you. They can't understand with all of this chatter. Come on, let's go with the treat. Stay. Doing all this. Calling the dog. Did I tell you to stay? Okay, I'll take her back over here and try that. Come here. Come here. Stay. Got my TREAT right here. Here's what they want you to do. Follow them. Oh, good dog. Oh, what a good dog. Oh, what a good dog. Yes, yes. Okay. All you're teaching that dog to be is a nut job, overexcited. Good stay. All you're teaching that dog to do is be a nut job and be overexcited. I treat my dogs like I would talk to my husband. I would talk to my friends, just conversationally calm. Keep the excitement out of the dog training. Keep it out. Just communicate gently and calmly learn. Okay, this is timing. Timing is very important. If I pull on her and she starts to come, if I keep pulling, then my timing is terrible, because when I pull, I want her, it's hard to do with a trained dog. I want the dog to start walking towards me. I'm not going to pull anymore. I'm just going to wait for it to walk towards me. See how the leash is loose as she's walking towards me. I'm not going to reel her in like a fish. So you have to learn leash management, timing, give a little tug, release of the pressure. As the dog is walking towards you, that's the release of the pressure, because the little tug is gone. So practice this at home, in your house, with your dog, calmly. With your puppy, you can start this when they're very young, 12 weeks, I would say. If you're not real experienced, let's start it at 10 or 12 weeks, depending on the breed, depending on you, just depending on a lot of factors. But get your leash management down, get your mouth quiet, get your body language quiet. You see, the quieter you are, have you ever whispered in a crowd? Everybody starts leaning towards you. They want to hear what you have to say. What's that person whispering about? Well, that's how I train my dogs, with a whisper. No talking. It's just very subtle body language. And all of my dogs do this. Unfortunately, I don't have an untrained dog here to show you the progression of it. But it can happen really fast if your timing is good. But then what you don't want to do is do this for 2 days, then go, okay, I'm ready to go for a walk. Because your dog is going to go right back to everything it's rehearsed. The barking, the lunging, the pulling. So you've got to get this trained really well at home. And then you just go out. I would go out maybe, just a tiny ways. And here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to just stand on my leash like that. Now this dog can sit, stand, or lie down, whatever she wants to do. I might walk, 50 feet out my door and just stand on my leash, and notice how she went into an automatic SIT because she knows we're going to be here for a while. And I'm going to let my dog try to lunge, try to bark, try to do all the stuff that it was doing before. And it's just going to self-correct. It's going to jump against that rope that I'm standing on. Now, use some common sense. I'm not giving you advice. I'm just telling you what I do. But I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't stand on the leash of a 200-pound dog because the thing's going to flip me over. So you have to use some common sense. But, I have a little dog. I'm just going to stand on the leash. And if it wants to bark and jump and freak and holler and scream, I'm just going to stand here and let it. I mean, heck yeah, it's getting all of its exercise. And it's working it out. And then when it stops doing that, it might be an hour. Well, we were out for an hour walk, and we didn't get 10 steps because my dog started acting like an idiot. So I'm just going to stand here on the leash quietly. I'm not going to be going, stop it, be quiet, sit, 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 sit. Just stand there, be a tree. Be a tree, and just stand there. I'm just going to stand on this leash, and then when it finally stops barking, then I'm just going to calmly turn around and go back in the house. And I'm going to do that every day until it just goes outside, and when I step on the leash, it does this. And then I'll go a little bit farther. And if it starts the nonsense, I'm going to step on the leash, and I'm going to wait for it to stop the nonsense. I don't have to do anything but just stand here. We're laying a foundation of pressure and release. The dog has to understand when it acts foolish, it doesn't get a walk. It has to understand. See, if you have ever let your dog out in front of you with the leash tight, you trained your dog to pull you. So it has to understand it can never pull you, it can never jump, it can never bark, it can never do all these behaviors you don't like. And the way that I teach it is I just go somewhere like down to the lake and stand on the leash till the dog stops acting like an idiot. And then I might take it for a little walk, but if it starts acting like an idiot, I'll go back to this, and then I'll just go back to the car, put it back in the car. We got a lot of activity down at the lake. So, it's so easy to train a dog. People want to make it harder than it is. The trainers want to make it way harder than it is. Most dog trainers really do not know. Most of the people, the McDonald trainers online that have the treat in front of the nose, fast food delivery to the dog, they don't know how to train a dog at all. They might know how to train it for agility and sports, in a controlled environment, training a sport dog, but they don't know anything about training your house dog. Nothing. I'm not using treats. I'm not using my voice, really. I'm just using this. Come here, Nikita. Good girl. Very good. I didn't dismiss you. I did not tell you F-R-E-E, did I? Mm-mm. And if your dog doesn't want an SIT, just push down on the rear, pull up on the front, push down on the rear, push down on the rear. There. Just like that. And then I will release her when I'm ready to release her. You've got to pay close attention to what you're doing with your dog and what your dog is telling you. Okay, you're free. You're free. Bye-bye. Now, if she sits there for another half hour, that's her choice, but I have released her to do what she wants to do. You have to pay attention to what you're doing with your dog and what your dog is telling you. So anyway, this is laying the foundation. I challenge anybody to do this because nobody's going to do this because it's not going to make sense to them because they've watched too many of these training videos. They've been to too many classes. You have to clear your mind of all of that stuff. You have to get rid of all that stuff. And you just have to go back to teaching a dog the meaning of pressure. The release is actually the reward. So you don't have to use food. You don't even have to use praise, but I do. But really the release of the pressure is the reward. You have to wrap your mind around that. So I hope this helps you lay that foundation. Teach your dog to sit at your feet. Teach your dog to take a couple of steps and automatically sit. Then go outside. After you've done that for a couple of weeks, just go outside a little ways. If your dog starts all that nonsense it was doing before, then you just stand there on the leash. And hey, that's just my opinion. That's how I train my dogs. I'm not telling you how to train yours, but it works great. I've trained lots of breeds over the years. I've tried lots of different methods, and this is the method that works best, in my opinion. So, comments help me a lot. Likes, shares. But when I get up in the morning and I go straight to my YouTube and I check for comments, if I get comments, it really sort of inspires me to make another video because I'm certainly not getting paid to do this. So, if you'll drop me a comment, like, share, I really appreciate it. And thank you to all my subscribers, and thanks for watching. Good girl, Nikita. Nice job. Let's see, what accent will we use today? Nice job, Nikita. Nikita, you're such a good girl. Yes.